In today's show, we're looking at the waiver wire for fantasy basketball. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com and at Yahoo Sports Australia. And you can find me on Twitter, as always, at redrock_bball and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds and lines than ever before. BetOnline is where the game starts. Thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen or your first watch. Every day we are free and available on all platforms. A couple of things to get out of the way. If you are watching on YouTube, yes, I am currently the shade of Spider-Man. I am very red. This is what happens when you go to coach your first game of footy for the year. It's 30 degrees outside. There's a 1 hour delay because you're waiting for some kid to get taken away in an ambulance. Hope he's all right. He broke his arm. I don't know why it took an hour for an ambulance to get there. That's another story. And you stand there waiting and you're out in the sun for 6 hours and you forgot to put on sunscreen. This is the result. Is you look like an old tomato over here. So that's why I look so stupid. Anyway, if you're not on YouTube, you don't care how I look. But if you are, you're probably going, what the hell's wrong with Josh's head? Is he super embarrassed? No, I'm just sunburnt. The second thing, yesterday, kids, cover your ears. I fucked it up. On the week preview show, I don't know what the hell I was talking about. I said there is no team that doesn't play Monday, Tuesday. That's not true. I don't know why. I don't know where I got that information from. I don't know what the hell I was looking at to suggest that. So I really, really apologize when I said that. The Kings don't play Monday, Tuesday. The Spurs don't play Monday, Tuesday. The Suns don't play Monday, Tuesday. The Grizzlies and the Pacers don't play Monday, Tuesday. I don't know what I was looking at. I really, really apologize for that screw up. It was dumb, and I don't know what happened. So I really apologize for that. And now, all of that stuff's out of the way.
Let's get it on, Gilly.
All right, of course, we are in the fantasy playoffs unless you're playing Roto, where you don't have playoffs, and that's great for you. That's great for Roto leagues. So, surely there's not one league that's having like a weird 2-week playoff that doesn't start till next week. Your league must be insane if that is the case. You're already insane if you're starting this week, but that's another point that I've made plenty of times. So what we have to do, long-term value doesn't matter. In a vacuum, value doesn't matter. Must roster doesn't matter. We are not doing a must roster segment on this show because it doesn't matter. There is no, like, outside of the guys that, is James Harden a must roster? Yeah, of course he is. But when I'm talking about guys who are under rostered, and I say, oh, you got to have this guy, you don't got to have this guy at this point of the year. You've got to balance schedule, team needs, opponent weaknesses, opponent strengths, what categories you need. So me blindly saying this guy's a must roster and you go and add him and it doesn't actually help your team, it's more detrimental than it is constructive. So that's why I'm not going to have those segments on this show. Because I don't want to mislead people who think that there's an easy way out to just saying, well, this is a guy who's must roster, I must add him. At this point of the year, that's not how it works. You've got to be extra diligent in moving and adding and attacking and defending certain categories in category leagues. In saying all of that, the most added player over the last 24 hours is my mate, your mate, the Dart, Goga Bitadze.
Problem with my Gogo-mobile. Gogo-mobile? No, not the Dart. Not the Dart.
Nah, it actually is the Dart. It is the Dart indeed, because he has been interesting. There is always going to be a risk of this foot soreness flaring up, but with Isaiah Jackson out, remember, everyone was very, very quick to anoint Isaiah Jackson as the future stud on this team, and he is the guy that I preferred as the fantasy ad. There's no question about that. But Goga Bitadze is 22. He is not old and washed up and over the hill. I still think he can become a quality player. Probably does need another team. And Jackson is ahead of him, clearly, as well as Turner. But I still think that there is value in him for another team and to be an NBA contributor. But now Jackson's out. I don't know if he returns this week. And Goga might play 26 minutes a night for 3 games. And his fantasy profile is very delicious. So he is a guy that if you're looking for big man numbers, He has great appeal for this week. Great appeal. The big stiffy, boing. He's a great ad as well. I don't fully trust the doctor, Michael Malone, with his playing time. The Nuggets do only play 3 games. All of them are quality games, though. But Bones has been playing 27, 30, 31, 28. Look, they're made-up numbers, but mid to high 20s in minutes. Scoring well, outplaying Monty Morris, which, again, is something I said about 4 months ago. Hey, I wish they would just try and develop it, because what he brings, I think, actually makes more sense in this lineup than what Morris does. We've gotten there now. I don't know if we're permanently gotten there, but he is a really good ad. And, yeah, got some value there. Brandon Williams, we know that the percentages are going to be pretty terrible. He was a good free throw shooter in college and in the G League, but for some reason in the NBA he can't hit them. But they have a great schedule, 4 games with 3 qualities, a Friday, Saturday back-to-back as well. And I don't expect Anthony Simons back this week. So Williams is going to have a lot of minutes and a lot of usage. People adding Torrey Craig, I'm not as interested in that. There's some value in it, I guess, because his last 2 games have been great. And the Suns play today. So some of that is adding for today. But as soon as Jay Crowder returns, and Crowder's questionable for today, as soon as Crowder's back, Craig is not going to have this value. And literally, Crowder might return today. So I'm a little iffy on that one. People are adding Trey Lyles. And on the surface, it's stupid. I never want to live in a world where Trey Lyles is an option for fantasy teams. So, I'm planning my exit straight away. But it's happening because the Sacramento Kings are deciding, well, you know what, boys, we've got the opportunity here. We've got a lot of young guards. We've got some wings. We've got another young, buoyant center, / power forward in Chemezi Metu. But you know what we'll do? Washed up Trey Lyles. We'll start him and we'll limit Harrison Barnes and we won't play Barnes. We'll just do dumb shit because we're the Kings and we'll lose. But it's happening. Lyles can. He was actually the worst NBA player this season to begin for the first 3 months. He has improved significantly since then, and he's definitely not the least watchable player. He's still bad, but this is a lot of talk on Trey Lyles. The minutes are up, and we've got to follow the trends of the minutes at this point of the year. You don't feel good about it. You feel pretty dirty adding Trey Lyles, to be honest. Like, I've got, Trey Lyles. Really? I'm really going with Trey Lyles. But yes, I am. The problem is that people are adding Trey Lyles. The Kings play today. They have 2 games next week. So, the ad of Trey Lyles is fine for today's game, but for next week, not interested. That's the balance. Adding a Trey Lyles for today, I'd rather add someone who plays a Sunday, Monday back-to-back than add Lyles for today. Anyway, again, it's too much talk on Trey Lyles. I don't know why I did so much on him. Emmanuel Quickly, 4 games next week for the Knicks. I don't expect Derrick Rose to play in any of those. Quickly should get 27 to 30 minutes a night. You're going to have issues with field goal percentage. There's absolutely no escaping that. But the value's there for him. Matisse Thybulle's been one of the most added players. I don't really know why. But I'll put it this way. There's 4 games for Philadelphia next week. You're going to get 4 starts, and you might get some 30-minute nights. You might get some 21-minute nights. But if you are desperately needing to swing the steals and blocks category, he is for you. He is a great ad. If you don't care about those categories, if you're going to comfortably win them or comfortably lose them, then he has no value to you. But that's just going to depend, isn't it? Jackson Hayes, one of the most added players on Yahoo. I don't know why he was available to be added this much. This is a no-brainer. As long as Ingram's out, which might be a while. I don't know when Ingram's back. Hayes is playing really well. He's got 4 games this week, and all 4 games are on low-volume days. Best schedule for the week. Great opportunity. Yes. Drew Eubanks, his 10 days should expire towards the end of this week. But we don't know if they're planning on signing him rest of season. If they don't, they actually have no centers. So I do expect him to be signed rest of season. I think he's a relatively safe guy to have a look at with 4 games. And then Poku. The Thunder do only play 3 games with only 2 qualities, so that's a little bit of a downer for him. I guess he's been added a lot for today's game against the tank-off against the Magic, but he's not a bad longer-term guy to take a look at as well. Maybe Poku needs to fire up some built bars, get a little bit of that muscle on, pump up the gym. That's what people say, isn't it? You pump up the gym. No? Maybe? Anyway, it doesn't matter because Built Bar is the best tasting protein bar ever. Whatever you are looking for in your life, whether that's to replace your sugary treats, whether that's to build your muscle and get healthy in the gym or running or doing whatever you want, but you need that protein supplement, Built's here. 17 grams of protein in a bar, 130 calories only. That's like half a candy bar. Low carbs, low sugar, low fat, and delicious taste. Plus, Puffs, the protein-infused marshmallowy goodness. You can't go past it. So don't go past it. Go to Built.com. Use the promo code LOCKED15 and save 15% off your order. Built Bar is built different. Let's look at droppable players. Some of the most dropped guys over on the old Yahoo. Marvin Bagley. Yeah, he went, pretty bad. Like 13 minutes yesterday with Jeremy Grant back. And I get dropping him. He was shithouse. The Pistons do have 4 games coming up, 4 games at home. They do have no back-to-back, so that's not good for Jeremy Grant sitting. Bagley has unique challenges. One of those unique challenges is he's terrible at basketball. The other one of those unique challenges is he's a really bad category league player unless he's just getting pumped full of usage and minutes, and I'm not sure he will. So him being dropped into a lot of leagues makes sense, but given his schedule, I'd probably be a little bit more cautious with that. Patrick Beverley, well, there's a couple of reasons for Patrick Beverley being dropped. Either this is your last week in fantasy basketball, this is your championship Sunday, or, kids, cover them, you're a petulant fucking bitch who dropped a bloke who got ejected and you just cracked the sads. That's the only reason. I know Patrick Beverley got ejected after 9 minutes yesterday, and it was super frustrating, incredibly frustrating, and it might have cost you the playoff week. I get that. The Wolves play 4 games next week. Beverley is like a consistent top 100 player. Do you expect him he's going to get ejected every game? Do you think the ejection's going to carry on and be a nagging ejection all week? The dropping of him there's only 2 reasons you could have done it. And one of those is that this is the end of your week and you wanted to get someone in on Sunday. And the other is, there's 3. The other is you just crack the sads. And the third is you don't know what you're doing. And I know there's a lot of people watching, listening to this, who did drop Patrick Beverley. But just have a think about why you did it. You did it because he got ejected, I'm sure, right? And dropping someone after that fact doesn't change the fact that he played 9 minutes in that game. So the schedule for him is excellent next week. Go and re-add him. Dwight Powell's been one of the most dropped players. Yeah, I get it. Look, he's a streamer when you need field goal percentage, maybe with some rebounds, but that's it. Not a must-hold. Mason Plumlee, well, that was a real turd yesterday, wasn't it? Plumlee had been putting up some good numbers and then did not. I still think that he's worth a hold if you're punting free throws, but yeah, that was pretty rough yesterday. Hornets have 4 games as well, so that's interesting. Isaac Okoro had those 2 little nice games. Bad schedule next week in comparison to a lot of teams, 3 games, and he's not a good player. That's a fine drop. Isaiah Livers, yeah, look, okay, Grant's back, Stewart's back, Livers under 20 minutes. It was worth a try with those 3 quality games when no one else did last week, but yeah, bye-bye. Dorian Finney-Smith, that's a petulance drop as well, because he and nearly every player on Dallas struggled in that game against Charlotte, but they have 4 games next week, Finney-Smith and the Mavericks, and he'd been playing at a top 75 pace. That's petulance. Go and re-add him. These are some other ones that I think you can consider dropping. And basically, I'm just highlighting the fact that the Spurs, the Kings, and the Clippers played 2 games this week. So, your fringe Spurs guys, Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, maybe Jakob Poeltl, you drop them. Especially if this is championship week. Terrence Mann, Nick Batum, Amir Coffey, Marcus Morris, Isaiah Hartenstein, Ivica Zubats. They played 2 games. You might need to drop them. Dante DiVincenzo, Trey Lyles, Justin Holiday, Davion Mitchell. Harrison Barnes. You probably drop them for the Kings having 2 games. Just to open up those spots, especially the Kings who have 1 quality game, the Spurs who have 1 quality. Your DiVincenzos and Vassells and Johnsons, they're not going to be worth it. So consider dropping those players for this upcoming week. College basketball. I'm sure there's big upsets going on. There's massive results and huge stuff across both the men's and the women's tournament. And for all the latest odds and contests and player props, BetOnline.net is the #1 source for all of your sports betting needs and info. BetOnline remains the best spot for all of your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline is your continued source for all of your sports wagering information needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino games. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in the action. BetOnline is where the game starts. Let's look at some strategy stuff for this week. Early week options going up until Thursday. That's 4 days. So what do we do to begin the week? Who do we look at to begin the week? Well, it's the Chicago Bulls, really. They've got 3 games. And we are avoiding Wednesday with 11 games on. We are, because there's probably no real stream value in that. So, Javonte Green, yes, Javonte Green doesn't do a huge amount. But if you get 60 minutes played across 4 days, and he gives you 24 points, 18 rebounds maybe, that's enough for one ad, I would think. Again, you treat that, it's like a single game. You make an ad of a Bulls player, you get a single game, like, wow, someone had, 40 and 18 with 4 steals in one game, and you'd be jacking that bloke right off in not the Jack Armstrong style. That's the value of that 3 games in 4 nights on low volume days for the Bulls. And yes, the return of Patrick Williams is going to have an impact. And Patrick Williams is a good ad as well, for the same reason. He will probably play 60 minutes across 3 nights. He won't do a huge amount, but he could have 5 steals in those 3 games. He could have 6 steals. He could have 4 blocks. He might have 12, 15 rebounds with 30 points. That's possible. That's how you've got to view it. And for everyone, so I said this on the Waiver Wire show yesterday, hey, Javonte Green might be an ad with the Bulls schedule to start the week. Javonte Green, he's a dud, he does nothing. And that's true, but when you times nothing by 3, yeah, theoretically nothing times 3 is still nothing, but a little bit above nothing times 3, it's still something. And it's 3 for the price of 1. Just consider it as 1 game. It's 1 ad, and you've got 3 games out of it. That's where the value of Javonte and Patrick Williams is here. Other guys with some value to start this week, they play 2 games on low volume days between Monday and Thursday. So Denny Avdia and Corey Kispert, Rui Hachimura for the Wizards. They've got an interesting schedule. And there's, again, it's a 2-for-1. On the surface, 1 game of those blokes, not that interesting. 2 games, yeah, I'm interested. Isaac Okoro, just said he's a droppable player. And that is fine, but again, this is why we talk schedule. Is that the Cavs only play 3 games, but they have 2 quality games in the first 4 days of the week. So you can use your Okoro there, and then move on. He's a little bit iffy, but yeah. Precious Achua, JaMychal Green. These are options. Grayson Allen, and even Brook Lopez, who is not a must-roster player, but he might play 34, 36 minutes across 2 games. He started last game with Giannis out. Still only played 20, but scored well. But this is the time to add, and then the time after is to drop. The Bucks play only 3 games, but they started off by playing the Tuesday and Thursday. So it's really, really good scheduling for them. That's the way I think you need to look at it. Some other names to talk about who have played well recently. Isaiah Hartenstein, he's played really well. He's like a top 60 player over the last week, but there's only 2 games for the Clippers. Now, luckily, they come on Tuesday and on Friday where you can use them. So he's a name to at least consider streaming in for those days. Not a must hold, but be aware, does this waste your ads when there's a lot of variability around his production? The artist formerly known as Taurean Prince. 4 games for the Wolves, 3 qualities, play on Monday, minutes there without McDaniels. He played well on Saturday. There's some numbers there. Trey Mann and the Thunder, only 3 games for Oklahoma City and only 2 qualities. So they play Monday, then you probably don't use him again until Saturday. So that does hurt in terms of planning out the week, but he's been solid enough with some absences there. Pat Connaughton returned, scored well in that first game for the Bucks. Another name you could consider, considering how the Bucks start with that Tuesday-Thursday combination. So value in him. And then with Ja Morant's uncertainty, well, you got Tyus Jones and you got DeAnthony Melton, who can become options because of that absence. Now, the problem is unlike what some dickhead told you in a week preview yesterday, that they don't play until Wednesday. So, are you actually using Melton on a Wednesday? Is Jar going to be out that long? I don't know. But it's at least worth considering when we hit to Thursday and Saturday when the Grizzlies play there, if the Morant injury is still sticking around. And that, guys, will do it for me today. I hope you guys enjoyed today's show. If you did, drop a comment down below. And follow this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and on the Odyssey app. YouTube, thumb it up, leave your comments. Guys, we are done. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.